Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday evening to you. It's Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wentz. Good to be with you. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. I believe I promised you, well, I didn't promise. I never promised. Meteorologists shouldn't do that. But I was planning on doing a Region Weather Live last night to talk about not just this week, but what we've got coming down the pipe. And here's what happened. I got approved about maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock for a live shot with my kids trick-or-treating. So instead of the normal let's go to work, it became we have to work from home, get our work done, round up the kids with my wife's help, obviously, get them in a car, drive them to a trick or treat, make sure graphics are going well, make sure the kids are safe, but make sure they're entertaining at the same time. It was a really long day yesterday. It was fun. It was great. Our kids were featured, trick or treating in a bunch of newscasts. We had to do a bunch of live hits, but it ended up being a day. And then last night we did a Halloween special at 11 o'clock. So instead of doing weather, I was anchoring that. So bottom line, our Region Weather Live went down the, toilet last night. As well as my mental status. So we're back today. Things are much quieter today. So good to be with you guys. I want to make sure I bring you an update here on what we have to look forward to. As I'm going to run the intro real quick just to let a couple people join and then we'll get started. Okay, here we go. That's our original. Anyway, that's what we have going on. So good to be with you tonight. We'll make this short and sweet. I've got a couple extra things I want to show you, and obviously want to say hi to you guys as well. Emma, hello. Emma asks a great question. Do you see fog in the forecast tomorrow? There may be a little bit more fog tonight, Emma. There's drier air that's in here, though. There's a big difference in our air mass tonight versus last couple nights, but still with lighter winds, we still have a south wind that's trying to pick up, but with lighter winds in place and still some moisture from what happened over the weekend, we could certainly see some fog waking up tomorrow morning. It would be more prone in our eastern locations as it looks right now. Sarah, hello. Shar, hello. Debbie, loving the temperatures. Yeah, it doesn't feel like November outside, that's for sure. Nora, hello to you. And and I think Deshaun, I think that's you. It's not showing up, buddy. It says Facebook user, but that's okay. I would imagine it's you. All right, a couple things I want to show you here. First of all, let's briefly thank our sponsors, Tiger Plumbing, Griegers, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Discovery Travel. Please support them as much as you can. They're all local businesses. They're fantastic. You guys love them as well from the feedback I've gotten. We have 3 wonderful sponsors, and I know that from working, but you guys, know that as well. So please support them. Chris loves the weather too. I love that. All right, so a couple things I want to show you here. First things first, let's get to, because I'm trying to share some weird screens. Krista sent this in. Oh my gosh, I just love this. You guys have seen these little spirit things, where you can decorate them, do whatever you want. But I got a kick out of this. It says lake effect snow. What does it include? Ability to wreck your days in a moment. Notice that's true. Anywhere from 2 to 20 inches of snow. Absolutely. Rapidly changing road conditions from 1 mile to the next. Yes. Full call out of all the yellow trucks. Absolutely. And not included predictability. I love that. I just love that. So that's the best one I've seen. I know a lot of those are going around, but I really appreciate that. And yeah, you get 20 inches here and none there. That's how lake effect works. So if anyone just moved to the region, that's how we deal with snow around here. It's great. And as a meteorologist, it's even worse. But this is going to be my 17th year in a row forecasting lake effect snow, either off Lake Michigan or Lake Erie. So does that mean I'm any more accurate than perhaps someone fresh out of Valparaiso? No, because it's lake effect. Going to be completely honest. Okay, so this is where I want to start. I'm going to push this graphic out tomorrow. This will also be on our radio network as well. I was working on this tonight, though, just in terms of where we go, what we can expect for the month of November. I like to get to know the month that we're getting into. So if we look at today, our average high is 57, right? We're going to be nowhere near average over the next week, as we discussed this morning. But our midpoint's 57, right? It could easily be in the 30s and 40s. It could easily be in the 60s and 70s. And we happen to be on the top end of that. But that's where our average is. Average low is 39. There's no surprises there. By the end of the month, our averages obviously come down. We cooled this month, but we go down to 44 for an average high. That becomes the midpoint. So 20s, 30s are possible. 50s, 60s are possible. 70s are really hard to do late November. But bottom line, our average is 44. and our low gets down to 29. That was kind of surprising to me that our average midpoint low is in the 20s by the end of the month. So we've got some cooling this month, and we know it. It doesn't always come gradually. I mean, we get some sharp hits this time of year as the polar jet and everything up north really starts to take influence of the forecast for the winter. In terms of snowfall, not a lot. Here's the deal with snowfall in Northwest Indiana. There's not an official, so we keep daily totals from the Porter County Airport, but there's no seasonal totals that get added into that. It's the most bizarre thing that we don't have official snowfall records out of Northwest Indiana. We have the snow belt. We have to get our records from O'Hare or even Midway. Midway doesn't keep them seasonally, though, but we get our records from O'Hare. So there's markedly different snowfall totals in O'Hare versus Northwest Indiana. So O'Hare's snowfall average for the month is 1.8 inches. For Northwest Indiana, depends on where you are, but if you're in Lake, Porter, especially Porter and LaPorte counties in the prime snow belt, I would imagine those numbers are a little bit higher. Either way, we introduced snow this month. Okay, no surprises there. I'm just the messenger. Our average first snow at O'Hare is typically November 16th. We've had quite a fluctuation on that over the last couple months. Remember, last year we got into that big snow drought to start winter, and our first snow wasn't until late December, like almost January. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. I can barely remember last week, let alone last year. And then a couple years ago, we had our first snow on October 30th. So it certainly can happen at any time. And then in terms of daylight, we're slowing the loss. Okay, we only have about another month and a half of daylight loss, and then we start gaining again. So that's the positive side of things. The problem is this coming weekend when we flip the clocks back, that's not going to help things a whole lot. Nothing like a 4:30 sunset. I know, but listen, we'll get through it. But the good news is we're slowing the loss, right? And the first day of winter is when we don't have any loss of daylight or any gain of daylight, and then we start to gain very slowly, but we'll trudge out of it eventually. And we'll have brighter days ahead for sure. So what helps all this? Warm weather. And what do we have? Warm weather. So I'm going to switch my screen sharing here briefly. Hopefully this is going to just turn dark for a second. Hello. And I'm going to share some of the model forecasts here. And I want to talk about this weekend system because it really does kind of bear watching for several different reasons. Here we go. So we'll pop this up here. We know this week's nice. Okay, I'm not going to spend any time on this week. We've got lots of sunshine. There's going to be some intervals of high clouds that work through off of a couple systems, but nothing that's going to produce rain. And we're going to warm up. We're going to easily be in the 70s this week. We put out the Discovery Travel 5-day forecast this morning. Those numbers are not pulled from anything. Those numbers are forecasted. I sit down, look at the raw data, put those numbers in. My only question on the forecast is, are my numbers too low for highs? Because sometimes models will underperform on high temperatures when you get a strong southerly push. So I accounted for that. A lot of the models saying upper 60s this week. I went 70s. I think some of the models trying to catch up to that. So a lot of the forecasters are going higher than what model guidance says. So just so you know, that's in there as well. We could exceed those temperatures that we had in the forecast this week if all goes well. All right, so here's what we got going on. Big system out west. Why are we so warm, and why is it lasting all week long? Because the West is getting blasted full of stuff, right? We've got a big old trough that's going all the way down into California. And what that's doing is bringing much needed rain and mountain snow. San Francisco had rain today. They've had heavy mountain snow, Sierra Nevadas. This is heading out into the Rockies. They need this. They need the deep snowpack. They've had a bad drought out there for years. It got a little bit better over the last year with a good monsoon season. We need a good winter season out there. And they're getting that with this system, a good start for sure. That system heads out into the plain states as we get into Thursday and Friday. So this is, I'm going to fast forward to Friday now. We've still been dry this whole time. We've got high pressure out towards the east, strong southwest flow. So we're going to be warm. But here comes the first little wave in a series of systems that come out of the west. West getting hammered again. All right. But our attention focuses on this system. So there'll be an area low pressure up in Canada on Friday. This is the strong part of the storm. It'll drag a cold front back through Wisconsin. This is the weaker part of the storm. What will happen on Friday is a new low pressure is going to develop somewhere in the Kansas, Oklahoma area. And that's the low that we'll have to keep an eye on as the energy transfers from this low, which becomes weaker, to this one down here, which impacts us. So Friday, as of right now, we'll probably have some pretty decent clouds coming off of rain just towards our west. It looks to be dry on Friday right now. The further west you get, we're dancing with some showers. But here goes this low. It starts to develop down towards the south. Notice the rain's still away from us Friday night. This is now Saturday morning. We've got a compact low pressure that goes from Oklahoma up towards Iowa. Out ahead of that, we'll likely have a line of damaging wind-producing thunderstorms, more than likely. And those storms will probably come through here sometime Saturday. Now, the good news is the timing on this line will likely be going through the overnight. And by the time we wake up Saturday morning, it'll probably be towards our west. And then as it moves in, there's going to be a lot of thick clouds around off of the line that already developed. So in terms of severe weather, the chance is there Saturday. Some of the models showing that for sure, but just meteorological insight on it. I think we're going to have a lot of clouds out ahead of it. I think instability is going to be something we're going to have to overcome. The jet stream energy is going to be punching through. That will be in favor of severe weather. But in terms of a big severe weather outbreak, I have to question it right now. I don't think anyone's saying that, but I would be hesitant to say that right now. Do we stand a chance of rain on Saturday? Yes, 100% chance of rain on Saturday. Timing of that, again, is sometime morning through mid-afternoon. It may linger a little while. It'll probably be in the form of this line that we're tracking, and that line could have some strong winds with it. So that would be the threat, that there is, a little bit of a severe weather threat with this. Reason why we've got low pressure close to us. That's where the main energy is. You've got decent wind shear with this. We've got wind out of the southwest at the surface. Coming up above us in the jet stream, it'll be howling. It'll be coming out of the west. So that means things churn with height. Doesn't mean tornadoes, but it means that some thunderstorms can sustain themselves, and we could have some severe weather in terms of damaging winds. Heavy rain's a threat. We could use the rain, though. So, I don't see flooding as being an issue. But that's what I want to talk about with Saturday. So whatever your plans are Saturday, just make sure you're in tune with the weather. What we may end up doing is switching our Thursday night Region Weather Live this week with a Friday night one, just to kind of get the latest information on this and get you out ahead of anything that may be coming our way Saturday, okay? What happens after that? Let's keep going. That system moves by. Notice it goes by from southwest to northeast, so that doesn't bring in cold air behind it. We're still in the warmth. There's no cold air. All the cold air is still out west. Look at the snow out towards the west. Lots of snow in Canada. Not here, though. We stay warm behind this system, and then everything kind of reloads. Next system comes out in the plains. Model's a little different on how they handle this one, but there's still some similarities in this to say that we're going to have another strong area of low pressure the following Tuesday. So this is a week from today, and that low pressure looks to head southwest to northeast. It'll probably bring us some kind of cold front in here with some rain. But behind that one, most of the models agree that that drags a cold front far enough south that we finally get some colder air around here. Not that we're looking forward to it, but this would be in the 10 to 12 day range when some of that colder air finally settles in. You notice the Euro has a little bit of snow up towards the north. Again, we're not going to pay attention to where the rain and snow is. We're going to pay attention to the temperatures, and it does look like we get colder beyond that. So originally, and I'm going to go back towards, it was probably mid-October, October 14th, 15th. I was looking at the November 3rd through 8th timeline to be our first cold hit. And that would have been with this system right here moving in, this powerhouse system that's moving in this weekend. Things have changed in terms of this high pressure off the East Coast is much stronger. So it's keeping everything at bay. It's keeping these warm temperatures around this week, and it's keeping all the action out towards the west, so that it's going to delay that onset of the cold. So I really don't see any big pattern changes. We're going to stay unseasonably warm, a couple ebbs and flows in that, but at least through November 10th as of right now, before that cold air comes in. And it doesn't look to be a big punch. It looks to be kind of a gradual cool down behind that following front, which would be sometime late next week. So that's it. That's what I've got. Let me show you where the snowfall accumulates just briefly here. And then I want to show you the GFS model as well. Look at all this snow. This is a lot of snow, especially for this time of year. I mean, we get some big systems in here, but this is really a lot for the mountains. The mountains getting blasted out west. If you have a flight this weekend or into next week that takes you over the Rockies, it's going to be completely snow covered, just gorgeous out there. Canada's laying down the snowpack. This does not bode well for our La Nina, our third La Nina winter here, right? It doesn't bode well for cold air. Whenever we lay snowpack down to the north and we lay it down thick like we're going to do in this next week and a half in Canada, cold air can come from the North Pole, slide right across that. We can get some really cold air masses this time of year. especially favoring towards, end of the month into December. And again, this is impressive, even by November standards, for how much snow is getting laid down towards our north. And trust me, that will impact our forecasts as we get later half of the month. Let me briefly show you GFS because it's pretty similar to that. As we go through time, you can see the GFS finally brings some cold and some snow in here. November 12th, 13th, 14th, somewhere around there. Again, that's fantasy land. We can't quite look at that and say, oh, yeah, it's definitely going to snow on that day. But it does have a much colder churn with this system here. So there's that colder air as it comes in right there with that same system. But watch this. Watch what happens with the GFS. It has cold air coming in. This is later next week. And then it has a system spin up in the Ohio Valley with some heavy snow in the northern end of that. So that would be, and then just a cold, nasty air mass. It doesn't look right. I don't like the modeling on that, but basically that's where that snow is coming from in terms of the models. And the GFS saying the 13th, 14th, and 15th will get some snow. So we'll hold you to it, GFS. I usually write these things down and then they're wrong. Okay. All right, so that's what we're dealing with weather-wise. I hope that helps. I hope you guys are interested in the long term in terms of that. I wanted to get you feeling out how November typically goes around here as well, and then obviously look at what November is going to bring us, at least an early look at that, okay? All right, so let's get to your questions briefly, and then we'll get you on your way. I actually have a newscast here in about 10 minutes, so I got to get on my way. Let's see. Eileen, thank you. She says, hope your family's enjoying your new home. Thank you very much, Eileen. There's a lot of work. We bought a very old house that has a lot of history to it. It's super cool. It's just, there's so many cool things about it, but it's some work. So we're working on it. A lot of projects. I hear they never end. So there's that. Amanda says the bees are almost ready for winter. Oh, Amanda, I can't believe bee season's over with already. Deshaun, there you go. Your name's showing up, buddy. Yeah, it's been very foggy in the mornings. We've been talking about that on the radio side of things in the mornings. Brad, I feel you, buddy. I feel your pain. The snow is stupid. I know. A lot of people rely on the snow, though. I'm telling you, we got a lot of snowplow operators on here that go on that. Mike asked a good question. What's your opinion on cloud seeding? Mike, if I had a half hour, I'd let you know. Cloud seeding is possible. Should that be something we're doing out for the drought? I'd rather just kind of leave Mother Nature to do her own thing. But in terms of, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there on, how people go, or the government or whoever can go cloud seed these big storm systems and all that. It takes so much cloud seeding, which is a chemical they drop in the cloud to form condensation, which eventually forms rain, hopefully. You would need such a massive amount. I don't think we comprehend how big these storm systems are that bring rain and snow. I mean, sometimes they take up half of the United States. You cannot possibly, even if you were to seed a little cloud initially, that would get blown to dust in terms of this pattern. And Mike, not that you're asking for this, I just want to, kind of squash this idea that someone can seed a cloud and all of a sudden there's this huge, massive storm system or a hurricane. I think we're not giving Mother Nature enough credit in terms of how on a massive scale these things are. Those are my thoughts on cloud seeding. But it is something that they can do on a local scale. And I'm not sure where it's being used. I'm not, up to speed on that. But I would imagine a dry area, like some of the drought going on, if they have a big farming community or something. If they get a bunch of planes together and they do a bunch of cloud seeding, perhaps they could produce a shower over that area. But there's much more efficient means to do that than doing that. Mike, you're welcome, buddy. Heather, you're welcome as well. Justin, I don't want to say, not too bad, Justin. I'm not seeing a huge severe weather outbreak on Saturday. The ingredients that we have, there's wind shear present, and there's going to be some kind of line already moving in. This is going to be something that develops. If there were supercell thunderstorms that would be popping up over us, I would be concerned. But we're going to have some kind of line out towards the west, which is going to be spraying clouds in here. That's going to keep our instability down. It'll be coming in the morning towards midday, towards our west, before it gets here midday afternoon. So it doesn't scream to me severe weather. But the thing on the severe weather side is that low pressure is going to be close to us. There's going to be plenty of shear, which means storms can sustain themselves. And there's a lot of wind energy. So damaging winds would be the thing I'd be watching for on Saturday. And we will keep you updated on that for sure. I've got my eyes on it now. We'll talk about it as we get a little bit closer in time. Okay. All right, I think that's it, everybody. So get some sleep. I appreciate you joining me and being flexible on this region weather live time. I know you always are, but I hope you enjoyed your Halloween and you're settling into November now. I can't believe it's there. But as you know, it's going to be a warm start to November, so not feeling anything like it. Okay. All right. So we'll probably do another one Friday, which would be right out ahead of that weekend system. So we get you the latest on that. Okay. So we'll see you face to face then. Also check out our Region Weather Facebook page, which most of you are on right now. We had picture day here, and there were some really bad pictures. So I posted 2 pictures of our picture day here at the station. I hope you enjoy them. They're great. One I was blinking, the other one I was getting a spam call. Okay, see you guys later. Debbie, you're welcome. Have a good night.